Hi, this is Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Thanks so much for inviting me over, and welcome to new Crochet Podcast, episode 133. Today, I'm going to share with you my latest finished object and share the simplest, easiest, most gorgeous baby blanket patterns ever. But before then, I want to congratulate the winner from episode 132. Congratulations to Denise Gustafson. Hi, Denise. Thank you so much. Denise says, I think Wednesday Yarns would be a cute name for a Wednesday podcast. Yarn can mean a story also. I agree, Denise. That is a great suggestion, and thank you so much for participating. And if you want to win a free pattern, just keep watching and I'll tell you how to do it. And now it's time for Finished Object. Are you ready for it? Pachoo! This is the updated Drunken Granny 2.0. So if you have not been watching this channel for very long, this right here is the home of the Drunken Granny Crochet Anything. It all started on this channel right here, and I did one of my very first tutorials. Oh, that's upside down. Of course it is. I did one of my very first tutorials for this Drunken Granny baby blanket stitch. But it was back when I was using Kenyan acrylic, which does not come with yardage or any sort of information like that. So all the questions I got for how much yarn did you use and how many yards and how many meters, I could only say I used 500 grams because there was no other information available for the yarn I used. So it's always been on my list of things to do is to remake the Drunken Granny blanket using Savor from Ice Yarns so I can tell you exactly how much yarn I used. So this is exactly 600 grams of Savor, and it also has this fantastic border. Fits the blanket perfectly and looks super cute. So let me show you how big this blanket is. There you go. This is how big it is. So cute, right? So I love it. I love the border. I've been wanting to do a border for ages, but I'm like, what border do you do? I was working on the Sunday Granny a while ago and really found a border that I liked for it. And I'm like, I could do that same, not the same border, but the same concept of a border for all of my easy one-row repeat blankets, which I will be sharing more about later. You are gonna love it. So that is my finished object, my Drunken Granny Baby Blanket 2.0. So it is a super easy one-row repeat, and it is finished with a one-round border. There's already tutorial and written pattern, so be sure to check them out. I will link them in the comments down below. And if I forget to put the links or in the cards or in the description, sometimes I do, and this goes for any of my patterns or tutorials, just go ahead, do a Google search for what you're looking for, Drunken Granny 2.0 and Secret Yarnery, and it will pop right up. I love it. Isn't it so pretty? And now it's time for your questions. So I have the questions on my phone this week. How modern, right? It's very tiny font. Let's see. I can turn it and I can zoom it. Oh, there we go. The first question is from CI. They say, your space is so beautiful and I'm surprised that you think your stash would be empty in 3 years. I think mine would take me probably 4 times as much to empty out, and I don't have more yarn than you do, I think. My question is, do you ever block your projects, specifically Granny Sunburst squares? I only crochet squares with cotton, and I've been considering getting a Granny square blocking board to make sure that they are even and the same size. But they're so expensive, and I already have too many projects on the go to make my own anytime soon. Great question. So for me, blocking boards, it's a nice idea, especially for me, I like a blocking board for granny squares just for storage because it looks successful. You feel like, oh, look, I've really gotten somewhere. Look at how tall my stack is. And it kind of does make your granny squares look nice. Do you need one? No. Now, my opinion about it, when you join them up, when you use the item, they're going to all stretch to be the same size anyway. So you're pretty much just like, well, I don't want to say doing God's work, but it's going to straighten out anyway. You can do it if you feel like it or if you like looking at it. I used to block my sunburst granny squares exactly. That is the only one I did actually block because I was kind of new to crochet or as an adult with like stuff you can buy, and I wanted to try it. I thought it would make such a big difference. It is a nice way to store your granny squares, but do you need it? No, you don't. So what I did, because I also live in Kenya, I do not have blocking mats anywhere nearby. So the first one I did was to get exercise mats. There we go. Exercise mats, big ones like that. I got a set of 4, and so you can kind of interlock them on the ground and pin your blocks down on that, or a shawl or anything that you're working on. You just need enough blocks that is smaller than the item that you want to block. But that being said, kind of finicky, wasn't really into it. You can't really push the pins in like super, super far because the mats are only half an inch thick or something like that. You can also use just regular play mats. Those are actually even cheaper and they can be even thicker. So any of those do work. What I found that worked better and that I would use again if I had more space to store it, is if you get a piece of foam, like a cushion, like a sofa cushion, so just a regular square of foam. You can get them cut to any size you like, at least 4 inches. 4 inches is great, 6 inches is phenomenal, but it depends on how much space you have because that obviously does not shrink down. But then you just take your barbecue skewers and you can just stab them into the corners and even pull them back and re-stab so you can get a really good fit for your blocking, for your blocking board, your blocking mat. Everything gets blocked so great. It is foam, so it doesn't hold the water, it dries easily, and it's just adjustable. You can use it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Really great for granny squares. We did a bunch of small ones. I think they were about 9 inches by 6 inches for granny squares for my students. They ended up costing like $1, I think $1.05 or something like that for each, or was it 85 cents? It was close to $1 basically for a blocking kit for granny squares, and small enough to kind of keep with you and or at least in your craft area. So that is how I would do my blocking if I was a blocker, but I'm a recovering blocker. But thank you so much for asking. That is a great question. And if you have any suggestions, also let us know in the comments under this video. Next question is from Cheryl. Cheryl asked, does your husband like your yarn room? I would have to say yes, absolutely. He likes it full. He likes it really, really full. He doesn't like any empty spaces. If I have empty spaces, he's like, what? Do you need, like, you don't have yarn? You need yarn? Like, what's the matter? So how lucky am I? But when I first started building my yarnscape, he didn't understand it. He was like, why do you need all that yarn? Like the regular questions anyone would ask. You're wasting your money. What are you doing? Because I didn't have it. I just kind of had it set out like one type in each cubby. Like I had it set or arranged by type of yarn, I suppose, not by color. So once it was done by color, he absolutely loves it. And of course, the kids love it too. They are in here. Well, I had to kick them out to film this podcast. They're always in here. So yes, definitely likes the Yarnery. Next question is from Caitlin Smith. She says, hi, Krista, I have a question. I was crocheting with someone one time who had trouble with her rectangle leaning. She was making a rectangle shawl with all just simple rows of half double crochet. She was doing her edges correctly, but it continued to lean at the edges. Could this be from the way the yarn is spun? Too tight, maybe? Have you ever had this happen? Thank you so much for your podcast. Well, Caitlin, that is a really good question. And to be honest, I have not had leaning problems, but I have had students with leaning problems. And what it was for them is they were skipping the first stitch and then working twice into the last stitch. So that kind of got the slant, or it would be the other way around. You're working twice into the first stitch and you're skipping the last. But usually you're skipping the first stitch and then you're working into the last stitch and the chain stitch at the end, or the chain space. So that will give you that on an angle really, really easy. But that's the only one I've seen, and that's what it was for my students. So I hope that helps. And if anybody else has had that problem and knows a solution that I have not experienced, also tell us in the comments. Love to hear your opinions about it. Next question is from Romaine Carlin. Yay! He says, hi, Krista. Hello from snowy Western Colorado. Love the tip of the week. Great advice to the unhappy crocheter. For question of the week, for me, nearly always, very few friends and family appreciate the effort put into the item, and I have learned that lesson the hard way. Terrific stack in the back this week. Have you ever thought of doing a book of your delicious borders? Yes, I have. I think that'd be such a great idea. Although I have so many more borders like bursting inside, I just need like the time to put them on the blankets that I have stacked up waiting for borders. I would love to. So that is what I'm also doing, or thinking about doing, or planning on doing, not necessarily a book, but getting ready for it by organizing all of my patterns into the categories. So I definitely have a border category ready, and I would love to make a book. I think that would be a great idea. So thank you so much, Romaine. Thanks for asking. Next question is from Anita Ludman. Hi, Anita. She says, do you have a compact on-the-go supply kit with bag and tools and notions that you take with you when you travel, or you pack just before you go? That is a great question, Anita, and it brings us to tip of the week. That was a pretty good segue, right? Thank you. For tip of the week, I do keep myself ready to go, and I mean ready to go. I have a whole bunch of measuring tapes. I have a whole bunch of whip tins already assembled, and I also have whip baskets. Now, when I do travel, as long as it's not like on an airplane, I do take a basket with me if I'm going to be in a vehicle, or yeah, if I'm going to be in a vehicle, I take a basket. If I'm going into a doctor's office or something like that, I will pack like a whip bag. So I keep all of those, and I keep all those super handy. I keep a whip tin, I keep my extra hooks, I keep measuring tapes, whip baskets all in one spot, so I can just assemble a whip basket on the go in a heartbeat. So create a little spot for your accessory tins. And if you don't have accessory tins like I do, I'll link them down below though. I love them. So cheap. I think you get about 45 for 20 bucks. A lot cheaper than eating all those Altoids, which I tried. You can also use sunglass cases, a makeup case or little makeup bag, one of those wet wipe containers. You can use M&M containers, the larger size. Some gum containers fit your scissors as well. Zippered pouches, Altoid tins. All of those containers are great for making into your own type of accessory tin. And then inside, you add stitch markers, a pair of scissors, a needle threader if you use them, and then you just keep them handy in a cute little spot near your front door or near your crafting area, and you can just grab and go. And if you have a tip, trick, or hack, let me know in the comments under this video so I can include it in an upcoming podcast. Have you subscribed to this channel? Go ahead and hit this button under this video right now so you don't miss out on any more fun stuff just like this. And now it's time for News of the Week. Rain, rain, and rain. So the bushes are blooming, the grass is lush, the bushes are flowering. Everything is so great outside. It rains pretty much every night, and I mean rain, like good old African rain. It is so great. So that has been a wonderful thing. Also, with that has brought some colder weather. By colder weather, I mean low 20s. That's Celsius. But it has been chilly enough for a sweater. Now, interesting little fun fact, what sweater would you pick if you had all those gorgeous creations to pick from? So I stood there for a good minute looking at all of those options I have, trying to think what I wanted to wear, what was the easiest thing, and guess what I picked? My original boho cardi with the black stripes, not even joking. This sweater, it's just so like lazy. It's like the laziest sweater. It's also like a house coat. I'm not saying it's pretty. It's just so functional. So you can cook in it. You can get spaghetti sauce on it. There's nothing, nothing bad is gonna happen to this sweater. So this is officially my first winter coat of the season. Also looking for my slippers. Now I usually make a new pair of slippers every year, just something new to do, but I haven't this year because, well, I have enough, I just have to find them. And then I'm like, you know what I want to do? And I do have a fabulous tutorial for 2-hour slippers. They're not 2-hour slippers, they're probably like 1-hour slippers. But I also, in my head, I remember when I was in Canada, my whole life growing up, there was slippers similar to this. Anybody remember those? At local craft fairs, and you could buy them in any size. They were just with Fentax or whatever, and they were stretchy enough to fit any size foot. I think they were just ribbed, kind of like that everywhere. Anyway, I tried to make one. No. No, 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 no. So that is an official fail. I'm like, oh my gosh, for the time it took to do all of those stitches, I could have had like at least 2 to 3 pair of 2-hour slippers done. So I'm like, well, maybe I should just try a different way. Like a bigger hook and half double crochets. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's still just a pain in the butt. Pain in the butt. So no, fail. No, no. And I even use like the brightest orange because that's how they used to be at the craft fair. You'd get like the bright green, like all the primary colors, right? They were so fun. Anyway, no. But if you have an easier pattern than this for that type of slipper, let me know. If you remember the kind I mean. I just have them in my head from like 2000, and obviously that was 25 years ago, so hard to keep track of which ones they were, or like what the pattern would be exactly. And of course I didn't bring them with me to when I moved to Africa. So I'm just trying to do them from memory, and it's a bit tricky, let me tell you. So going back to my original OG 2-hour slipper pattern for the win, for sure. Absolutely the best slipper pattern anywhere. And then of course, blankets, being cozy on the bed, sleeping underneath something a little bit heavy. That has me in another mood, another blanket mood. And it also brings us to a new segment, which is replacing stack in the back. So instead of stack in the back, we are going to be doing something like binder in the back. We're gonna get one of my binders with all of my patterns inside it, and then we're gonna go and we're gonna get all those finished items and we're gonna go through it. So it's gonna be like category of the week, because they're all kind of categorized into different binders, or it can be something, I don't know, you tell me. But before we get to that, I think it is time to give away a free pattern. Would you like to win a free pattern? All you have to do is, have you subscribed to this channel? Go ahead and hit this button under this video right now so you don't miss out on any more fun stuff just like this. Yep, and also answer question of the week. So question of the week this week is, what would you call the segment for sharing my finished objects by category? What would you call it? So each week we'll be diving into a new binder from my lovely pattern shelf, and then sharing the pattern and the finished object. If you have a fun, catchy idea, let me know in the comments under this video, and I will be picking a subscriber who answers the question to win a free pattern in an upcoming podcast. And now we're ready for Binder in the Back. Binder in the back. It's the best I can come up with today, but I'm sure you have a better idea. Let me know in the comments down below. But for now, let's get that binder. This is our Drunken Granny blankets. You see that? Drunken Granny blankets. So my Drunken Granny blankets are all of my super fast and easy 1-row repeats. These are my Drunken Granny blankets Not all of them are drunk. We have some sober, we have some tipsy, we have some dirty. They are all in here. So our first pattern is the Dirty Granny. So the Dirty Granny baby blanket pattern, which I love. They're really, really cute these days. I'm sure you are gonna love it. All super to read, super to follow, easy instructions. So the first one is the Dirty Granny. And Dirty Granny is named after the martini. So it is a really easy way to remember the stitch is making glasses and olives. So you make an olive, you make a glass, you make an olive, you make a glass. And it is a super easy 1-row repeat. All of these blankets are 1-row repeats. So this is the Dirty Granny. And all of these are also written patterns and tutorials, both left and right-handed. So don't worry about that. They're already done and waiting for you. I will link all of the dirty ones in the description box. I will try to remember to link all of these in the description box. Let me make a little spot on my table here. Great. Next is the Drunken Granny. This is the original, the OG. That is the one made with Kenyan acrylic. This beauty right here. So I used 500 grams of Kenyan acrylic and a 6mm crochet hook. And this was the start of all of the Drunken Granny series. So this is finished just with a row of single crochet. Pretty cute, right? So this was the first Drunken Granny. The OG, the original, the very first one. And this is the Drunken Granny 2.0 with that gorgeous border. So this is also finished object of the week with a fabulous pattern that also includes the border, all the tips and tricks to it. And what I'm also doing on the back of my patterns, the new ones, like the new, like the last 2 weeks, but I won't be changing all of them, of course, slowly over time, is putting the last page with what you need. What you need is also in the beginning of the pattern, but what I found when I'm flipping through my binder, I'm like, oh yeah, what do I need for that one? And then I'm like, oh, you have to take it out of the page protector and then flip through and find what you need. I'm like, why can't we just put that on the back of the pattern? So you can see if you want to make it, you can flip to the back of the pattern to see what you need. Perfect, right? So this is my new format, plus links to the free classes and also the stitches that may be included in the pattern if you need a little refresher. So that is my new format for the back page. I'm loving it. And of course, this is Drunken Granny 2.0 that I already showed you this morning, today, earlier on. So that is 2.0, and this is with 600 grams of Savor. So I used more yarn, and I love it. And I also put on that special border. Next is the Guzzling Granny, from Drunk to Guzzling. This one uses up a lot of yarn. It's like a yarn guzzler. Like if you had a car that used up a lot of gasoline, this is the blanket that uses up a lot of yarn. But boy, oh boy, is it worth it. This gorgeous one right here. Now I'm feeling like I'm holding a lot of tails in. I probably am. I did make it big. I'll have to stand up to show you this one. This is the Guzzling Granny. Pretty big, right? So this is that cute little shell stitch. It is from a blanket that I brought with me from Canada. I got it at a secondhand store for like $1 or 75 cents or something. And I think why it was donated is it was a mix of acrylic yarn and then wool and put in the washer and dryer. And the wool had shrunk. So part of it was a bit felted and I did donate it. But this is the stitch from it. A super, 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 super thick shell stitch, so thick. So uses a lot of yarn. I'm not sure how much I use, but it will be in the pattern. Let me just flip to it. I use a 7mm hook and a total of 1,040 grams. And I also show you the various amounts per color because I did put a starting stripe and a finishing stripe. So, but all of that specific information is also in the pattern. So that's the Guzzling Granny, also super simple 1-row repeat. All of these are 1-row repeat. So it just depends on the look that you like. All of these are so easy. The next one is the Pin Curl Granny. Now this is called the Pin Curl because it reminds me of those pin curls. Actually, well now it's folded flat, but if you shake it out, if you let it behave how it wants to be, it has a really nice texture to it. Can you see those little stripes in there, those little vertical rows? So cute, right? I love this one. So I used Favorite and Softly Baby. I mixed them again, as I do. And this pattern also includes this gorgeous border. That is the Loops and Bridges border. I love it. It's so cute. So just with the colors I had on hand in my Yarnscape, I just love this one. It's so great. I love the colors. I love how happy it is. It's a good size. It's usable as a lapgan. And I think the border just really finishes it off. Well, now I'm folding it so terribly. Or I'm not folding it at all, really is what I should say. Bunching it up like a teenager. All right. So to fold up my blankets, I grab all of the one corner, all these here, and then line it up on the side. That usually helps me get it a little more accurate. So that is the Pin Curl. Next is the Sober Granny baby blanket, like the Drunken, but all in line. Very, very sober, straight, and fabulous. So another fabulous written pattern and another fabulous blanket. So this works very similar to the Drunken, except much smaller holes. And it just kind of makes sense. It's not, all the rows kind of follow each other and make sense, opposed to the Drunken that is kind of more of a staggered look. This is made with Softly Baby. I had used 3 different shades and I love it. It also includes a really simple and pretty, nice little shell border. So you can see how you like that. Less holes, still a 1-row repeat. Really nice. You don't have to change colors like I did. You could do it all in one color and it would also look stunning. And Softly Baby just feels so good. Like it is a feel good blanket. So nice. The next one is Speedy Granny Ruth Baby Blanket. So this is the Speedy Granny Ruth without tassels. So it has no tassels, you just work back and forth and sew in your ends as you normally would, but you're not changing colors, you're just using one yarn. So for this I used Cake's Baby Fine. And what hook size did I use? A 6mm for my chain and a 5mm for the blanket. So let's see that one. I love this yarn so much and I love the stitch, the Speedy Granny Ruth. Why it is a Speedy Granny Ruth? Well, it was my Granny Ruth's favorite stitch. Also because you skip every, was it every 3rd stitch or every 4th stitch? You skip every 4th stitch. So you end up doing 75% of the work and you get 100% crochet with no holes. So you skip 25% less stitches for a no hole, super easy, super fast stitch. So a great stitch for blankets. So fantastic. So this is with a 5mm hook and Cake's Baby Fine. They say it's like a 2/8, but I think it's like a 3. It's, I don't know, it's doable. And it's such a pretty result. This is the Sunday Granny. Hey, is that gonna match my outfit? It's gonna match my outfit. So this is the Sunday Granny crochet baby blanket. Sunday for the Sunday you eat, because you're doing scoops and cherries. You're doing scoop cherry, scoop cherry, scoop cherry. So it is fabulous to work on 1-row repeat. I'll show you what that stitch looks like. Isn't that gorgeous? Really nice and easy to do. Looks complicated, but honestly, it is an ice cream scoop and a cherry. Row after row after row, always starting the same, always ending the same. It is so easy to do. I just love this stitch. I'd have to say, It's like exactly the right color, isn't it? I have to make something to go with this dress. I have enough. I just checked my stash down there. I have 6 packs. Well, 6 packs in my surplus and 3 up there. So that's good. I can do anything. I can do anything. So I don't know. If you have any ideas what kind of shawl I should make to go with this dress, let me know, because apparently I have the yarn. That's exciting. Isn't it amazing when you actually have yarn that matches your outfit? When does that happen? It never happens. Okay, fabulous. That was the Sunday Granny baby blanket. And last, almost last, we have the Tipsy Granny baby blanket. Now tipsy because those stitches are kind of like on, like kind of like, you know, if you have a little bit, you know, you're a little bit tipsy and you might be walking like, oh, I better, then you're like, oh, and then, oh, I better, then, ooh, like that. So this is the Tipsy, not drunken, just tipsy. So the Tipsy Granny, oh, these colors are everything. So this is with Savor from Ice Yarns, you knew it. Look at those colors. Isn't that fun? I have to stand up to show you this one. Look at how great that is. It's huge. Totally usable for watching TV, right? You can get your toes into that one. I love it. And I love the colors so much. Reminds me of high school. These colors were very popular when I was in high school. So there's a little clue for you. I love it. Such a fun pattern. And again, 1 row repeat. Nothing complicated at all. There we go. And there is one more. This is the Palm Springs baby blanket. It is coming out as a tutorial. Oh, I guess I can't show you that one yet. So I didn't show you that one. I'll show you that one next month when we can say it's a finished object. Boom! So these are my Drunken Granny baby blankets. Super easy 1 row repeat blankets. All these great stitches. So I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video right there, and stay hooked.